Welcome everyone. I hope you attended my last session, right?
Yeah, webinar we attended.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So everybody has attended and everybody is aware what is the agenda which we need to cover up, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone who doesn't know for whom I need to come back once again with the agenda and everything?
I think ma'am all joined last session, so I think let's start from the day one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. And let me share my screen then with you guys and we'll continue with the day one part. Let me know once you can see my presentation.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yes, it's
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. And let's continue now from here that I was talking about last year about my experience and about the agenda. And I told you that before we start with the module one, which is SD-WAN solution component, will be continue with some of the prerequisites, right? Now, what are those prerequisites? If you remember, can you recall those? The first one is what we need to understand about traditional network. What exactly is our traditional network? There might be possibility you all guys are what expert into it, but just we will do a summarization of that for a 15 minutes part, right? And then after that, we'll be continuing with the SDN as a prerequisite. And then we will be further moving ahead with NFV, where we will be talking about network function virtualization, right? And then further, we will be talking about little bit about zero trust, right? And then we will be starting exactly what exactly is the SD-WAN solution component and what exactly is the solution overview, right? Before starting the major topic of SD-WAN, these are the few things which is as a prerequisite which we need to cover up. Okay, and we will be talking today at least two of them about traditional network and SDN today. And in the next upcoming class, we'll be talking about NFV zero trust, and then we will be jumping to the SD-WAN solution. And we will be quickly sharing that when we'll be starting SD-WAN solution component, we will be sharing that how these four things are the part of SD-WAN solution. So right now, I'll just tell you these four things, and then I will tell you that these four things are bringing the SD-WAN solution along with some extra capabilities. Okay, so these all are the part of SD-WAN network. So that's wherein we are talking about this four as a prerequisite. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So let me now start with traditional network first of all. So here in this one slide itself, we'll be able to see we have traditional network. We have SDN network defined over here. And we'll be able to see the comparison between this traditional network to SDN. How exactly the journey of the SDN network, starting from the traditional network and how exactly we are moving towards SDN. Though it's a long journey, we started this journey in 2015 somewhere. And nowadays you can see it is 2024, approximate 9 years. And still the organizations are migrating to SDN. And almost many organizations, even though already migrated to this SDN, right? So let's have a look, first of all, to the traditional network. What exactly is our traditional network? If we look at a traditional network, in terms of WAN, we are not talking about the complete network. We are only talking about traditional network in terms of WAN. So when we talk in terms of WAN, we say that we are connecting customer sites with the help of WAN network, right? So let's suppose that we have a customer site that is what X site. Site X, as well as we have a site X that is what Y. So we have two customer sites, site X and site Y. And generally what we do, we keep a gateway kind of device at the customer premises, and we call the device as what? Customer premises equipment, which is CPE. Customer premises equipment. So one device is available at X site, one device is available at Y site, independent of vendor. Right now, we are not talking about vendor specific. We are saying independent of vendor, that there is a CP device available at X site, there is a CP device available at Y site, and we are trying to connect these devices with the help of a private network or public network. When we say private network, the private network is also delivered via ISP, even though public network is also delivered via ISP, right? So either we connect it with a private WAN where we need to pay extra amount, and this internet, which is what a public network, which is little cheaper in comparison to the private WAN network. So both are delivered via ISP. So I can say that connectivity of X site and Y site is via ISP, or I can say that ISP is responsible to connect CPE, which is available at X site, and the CPE, which is available at Y site. So connectivity between these two CPEs are done via ISP. What is ISP? Internet service
Service
provider,
provider.
right? Now, this internet service provider is also managing this service, these CPs. So the CP and the CP, both CPs are managed via the service provider. How exactly the CPs are managed? The CPs are managed with the help of what? With the help of management station, right? So here you can see this management station. So with the help of this management station, we can take the access of these CPE devices. We can take the access either what? Either in command line interface or in the graphical user interface. It means either via CLI or via GUI, we can take the access of these devices, and we can manage, we can configure policies, we can configure routes, we can filter the routes, right? We can do a lot of things, that how exactly we would like to pass our traffic from X sites to Y site, right? We configure class of service, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
We do a lot of things, right?
Yes.
And further, if I say, when we look at this CPE devices, generally we say these CPE devices are router, right? As a layman, we say these are routers. And when we look at the router as a hardware, it's a very bulky device, right? A lot of functionalities are baked onto it. A lot of functionalities, starting from the routing until all set of policies we are configuring on it, right? So when we look at this router, as per the infrastructure of this router, or as per the architecture of this particular router, it has three different planes. So when we look at its plane, the first plane is what? Management plane, second plane is control plane, and third plane is data plane. I hope everybody is aware about these three planes, right? And there are a lot of functions, those they are baked inside these planes only. And that's wherein we say that router is responsible to have a lot of functionality. So when we look at these functions, what exactly is the function of management plane? Do you have any idea?
Like configuration, modification.
Right. Configuration, modification. So let me list at least two major functions of it. So when I say the main functionality of the management plane is what? It allows, or it gives us the access of the device. We can take the access of the device,
Like
right?
SSS or tenant.
Yes, SSH, Telnet, or HTTPS GUI,
Right.
right? So we can say access to the device either in CLI or GUI. That is the first main functionality of the management plane. We configure a management network with the help of management station and we take the access of these devices. And once we have the access, what we do? We perform the configuration. So if it is a local access, which is what? Via console. So we perform the basic configuration, and once we get the remote access, we perform the advanced configurations, right? All set of configurations are being performed by taking the access through the management plane, right?
Yes.
So that's,
Yes.
I say that two main functionality of the management plane. It does not mean that there are no more functionality. There are many more functionalities available, but right now I'm discussing the major functionalities. The first one is what access, and the second one is what we perform the configuration on it, right? So let's suppose that we need to perform the configuration of routing. Routing is an application which is available on the router, and that is the main application of the router, right? So let's suppose we need to perform the routing. Now to perform the routing, we are performing the configuration here in the management plane, right? And when we need to configure routing, we configure routing in two ways. The one way is what? Dynamic route,
Static route and dynamic route.
static route, or dynamic route. So if we configure the static route, what happens? If we configure the static route, what happens?
The information is stored in the routing
You're
table.
going to add the
It
routes manually.
directly goes into the IP routing table.
Yes.
As soon as we configure the route, static route, it goes and sits there in the routing table. Wherein if we configure the dynamic route, like example OSPF, if we configure this dynamic route, what happens? Initially, as per the principle or as per the protocol behavior, it is sending the hello packets, it is creating the neighbors, right? So once the neighborship is established, neighbors are listed there in the neighbor table, then it is sharing the routes, those they are available with the routers, right? It is creating the database table, and once the database table is ready, it is implementing the algorithm onto the database table, which is SPF, and then it is finding the best route out of the database table, and those best routes goes and sits there in the IP routing table. Yes, that's the behavior of OSPF.
Yes.
Yes. So based on that, if I say it, what exactly is the main functionality of control plane now?
Configure the routing.
Configuration
Control
of
plane
routing is done there in
functionalities
the management plane only.
to
Configuration
pick
is
the
done,
best
right?
path.
To create,
The control plane is
To
useful
create?
in
To
Routing
create?
information base.
Routing information base, which is what the IP routing table, or we call it what rep table.
Correct.
Correct? And once the rep table is ready, the other major functionality of this plane is what? Share it with
Neighbors.
data plane.
What is RIB?
Routing information base, which is routing table,
Okay.
right? Once it is ready, after that, it needs to be shared with the data plane. That's the second major functionality of the control plane, right? Now to create the RIB, it does a lot of things, right? It creates neighbor table, it creates database, it then find out the best route, and that best route goes and sits there in the routing table, right? And then once it is shared with the data plane, we jump to the data plane and we will be seeing that what exactly the two major functionalities of the data plane. So again, I'm repeating my statement. Control plane does a lot of other things as well. I'm mentioning only two major components or two major functionalities which we need it as of now, right? So further, if I look at it, what for the data plane, what the data plane does. If it
Forwarding
is
data.
getting the rep from the control plane and it converts that rep into what? Fib. And what is fib? That is what? Forwarding information base, that is your forwarding table. And how exactly it is creating this table? By adding the next hop information, by adding the layer 2 information, right? So it is creating the fib table, and once the fib table is ready, further, very important thing is what? As soon as a data packet comes to the router interface, it does the lookup of fib, and data plane is responsible to forward that or to switch the data packet, right? So I can say switching the data packet or forwarding the data, or forwarding the traffic which is coming to the router. And how it is being forwarded? It is being forwarded by having the lookup of fib table, right? So that's what is my traditional network. So within my traditional network, if we look at it, what we have? We have the traditional WAN connected in terms of what? In terms of CPE devices. And these CPE devices are located at customer sites to provide the customer sites connectivity from one end to another end via the service provider. These CPE devices are managed via the management stations, right? And when we look at these devices, these are generally what? Router, right? And when we look at this router architecture, it has 3 planes: management plane, control plane, and data plane. And we have seen 2 major functions of each plane. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So we are okay with the traditional network. This is what the traditional WAN network is.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Right? So this is the main thing. After that, we do a lot of things, right? Then we see, okay,
Yes.
it is MPLS or it is IPsec, right? MPLS tunnel is ready, IPsec tunnel is ready. If it is WAN, then MPLS tunnel. If it is internet, then IPsec protocol is being configured, right? But everything happens on the basis of this only, what we have basically defined with these 3 planes. Right? Now, what exactly is SDN? If we need to do what? If we need to migrate this traditional network towards SDN, what exactly it is? Anybody is knowing what exactly is SDN?
So break down your traditional router architecture. Take out the control plane, keep it in a centralized platform. Put your edges as just a forwarding plane, just a data plane, and take out the management plane as a centralized piece where you can do the configurations from. And this approach is mostly SDN approach.
Perfect. Good. So what exactly it is? It is generally we used to say it is a approach. Right? It is not exactly a technology. We used to say it is an approach. What exactly we do, we abstract the element of these systems. How exactly we are abstracting these elements? We are taking out the functionality of router management plane. We are taking out the functionality of control plane from this router. Now, what is left behind? What is left behind with the router?
This is the data plane.
Just the data plane. And if the data plane is left, it means what? It is a dumb device. Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yes. It is just a dumb device because it doesn't have now intelligence to perform the configuration, no intelligence to create the routing information base. So in a layman, what exactly we say that SDN is an approach. With the help of that approach, we are taking out the intelligence of the router and we are keeping that intelligence somewhere in a central platform, and that central platform is a virtual platform. And we will be able to manage all the dumb data plane devices from that central intelligence. Why we need to have central intelligence available with each and every device? We can manage it what? Centrally.
So we'll have a uni platform or a uni forwarding table with all the edges. If each one has their own brains, we cannot control them because each will perform their own calculations and processing when they do this route calculations,
Right.
best path selections. So the
Yes.
control over network will be missing if we do it individually.
Right.
Centralized, we have a lot of control tools.
Perfect. So that's what we are migrating traditional network towards SDN. That's the benefits you are saying. And you can say that those are the drawbacks of our traditional network. It was really difficult to manage. It was really difficult to find out what are the routes available on Y side by sitting at one central location. I need to log in onto the Y side CP and then only I'll be able to see, oh, these are the routes available. Then I need to go to the X side to find out these are the routes available on X side. Wherein if we are migrating towards SDN, we have a central path, we have a central control plane. We'll be able to see by logging onto that central control plane, these are the routes of X, these are the route of Y. And in case if we need to do some manipulation or we need to create a policy, it is easy for us to look upon the entire network infrastructure. Yes. And that's what we are saying, that it is what? As a layman, it is the separation of all these three planes. As a layman, what is SDN? Separation of these three planes, separation of management, control, and data plane. So you'll be able to see here, there are three planes available. Same three planes, the same three functionalities are there with these three planes. Management plane is what? To take the access and to perform the configuration. Control plane to create the routing tables. Further share it with the data plane, and data plane to take care of the data packet forwarding. So we are not keeping now control plane and management plane at customer side. We will be only keeping the data plane device, which is a dumb device. And we need not to buy the bulky, expensive routers. We can even though have any white or black box. So do you understand the meaning of white and black?
No, madam.
No.
So what in a layman, what we call white and black? They are the colors, but we have some, as soon as if somebody says white money, black money, we have something in our minds, right? What is that
Okay, just an
terminology?
accounted device. You mean to say just an accounted device or authenticated device in network?
Right, that is what white. And the black is what?
A rogue device.
No
something
standards,
it's
no
not found.
vendor.
Okay.
White means vendor defined, vendor specific. Black means anything. Anything from black market.
Okay, got it.
But it should support what? ISO standard, which is OSI. It should support OK layer 3. It should support IP. Right?
Okay, you mean that it just can be OEM independent, like it can be any.
Yes, OEM independent.
Is it? I mean, I have been using this in my company, and we have seen that they are saying that it will not be supported with any OEM plans.
We'll talk about that. We are right now talking about SDN. We are not talking about SD-WAN.
Okay.
That's the difference between SD-WAN and SDN. When the
Oh,
SDN principle has come up, the SDN was saying what? You can use any dumb device.
okay.
And when I say dumb device, no intelligence, right?
Yes.
So that was open with the open market. Open standards, right? So as per now this parameter, what the SDN has done, SDN has laid down the 3 layers of the SDN. It has said that there are 3 layers of the SDN. And when we look at these 3 layers of the SDN, these 3 layers are the first layer as in what? Application layer. The second layer is control layer, and the third layer is forwarding layer. So these layers are nothing. These layers are these planes.
Ma'am, one question. So as you say that it's a SDN network, although if it is a SDN network, it is designed and bringing the solution by one or other vendor, right?
Right.
So do you think if the same question if I repeat, as you say that we can put any vendorless device on the data plane, will it support if it is a Cisco solution with this software defined network SDN?
I will hold your question for 5 more minutes.
Okay,
Okay, and then I'll answer you.
sure.
Right? 5 more minutes, I'll hold this question.
Thank you.
So what I was saying, as per now SDN, we have seen. As a layman, we say what? It is the separation of these 3 planes. As per SDN definition, we say it is an approach to abstract the elements of these traditional WAN network. And what are these elements? These elements are management plane, control plane, and data plane. And as per the SDN architecture, we say there are 3 layers: application layer, control layer, and forwarding layer. So when we talk about these layers, these are similar to these 3 planes. Application layer is the management plane. Control layer is the control plane, and forwarding layer is the data plane. So when we look at the application layer, all the applications which we need to configure they are on the network, all are the part of this application layer. Like example, I need to configure security. I need to configure routing. I need to configure automation. All these are what? Applications, right? These applications are sitting there in the management plane or application layer. Right? What are the other benefits over here? We can take the access of the control plane. We can take the access of the data plane. And once we have taken the access, after that, what we can do? We can perform the configuration of these specific applications. I have to configure routing. I can do the routing configuration, right? And once I configured it, after that, the RIP will be managed via control plane, right? So what we say that these are the SDN controllers. So I will say this application layer is SDN controller. And this control plane is also the controller. So these two are what? The controllers of the SDN, which is controlling the entire infrastructure. And these controllers are what? Centralized. These are centralized. And where exactly we are, or what exactly we are controlling? We are controlling this dump data plane devices. This dump data plane devices are what? These are distributed. These are not central. These are distributed and located at what? Customer site. So I can say these are now CPE devices. Earlier, the entire router was the CPE device. Now these are the CPE devices. So when we look at these controllers are no longer hardware. They are always what? Virtual. Virtual controller. This one is also virtual, as well as the other controller, which is what? The control layer. This is also virtual. So when we say these are virtual, it means it needs to be hosted in a
Cloud or internet server.
somewhere in the cloud, or maybe at one
VM.
site, but we need a device which is supporting virtualization.
So I have a question.
Yes,
When we
please.
talk about this application layer and apps, that API integration, what is the base where we actually host them? Because what I was understanding here, if I want to have a functionality, because if I have to write some protocol, some IPsec or something, I don't have it anywhere. So I will create an API somewhere. I have to create that, and then I have to integrate that with the control plane. So what is the base and where I do that? Actually, where I host it.
I'm coming to that only.
Okay.
Okay. So let me complete this and your answer will be there in this part only.
Sorry.
Right. So this is virtual, but when we talk about the CP devices, it might be virtual, it may be in hardware. So we can have this dumb devices as in what? A hardware box or virtual. Right. Now, when I say that, okay, we are doing central management from this virtual controller. So I would need the connectivity between them. Right. When we talk about this connectivity is what? When I need to connect management plane with control plane or management plane with data plane for configuration purpose, right? I need to do right.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
I need to configure control plane. I need to configure data plane. I need to take the access of both, right? So when I'm taking this access or when I'm doing the configuration, I need the connectivity. And for connectivity purpose, we are using application programming interfaces to have the connectivity between them. Right? So we are using APIs, application programming interfaces. So there are some open APIs, there are some proprietary APIs. If a vendor is giving the solution of SDN, they are using their proprietary. Otherwise, there are open APIs. We are using the open APIs when this solution is what? Independent of vendor. Right? Now, we talk about the connectivity between control plane and the data plane. How this connectivity is there. So what exactly is the role when we are talking about the control plane? The control plane role is what? RIB. Creation of RIB and share it with what? Data plane. So it has to share the routes. When we say it has to share the routes, what we need? We need to have a protocol which is sharing the routes. So that's wherein we cannot have the connectivity here with, APIs. We need to have a protocol, and that SDN open protocol is open flow. SDN open protocol is open flow, which is responsible to carry the routes from control plane to data planes.
But that approach, you're saying control plane, a data plane will only have the FIB. Why routes are going to data plane?
Data plane will only have
FIB, forwarding
FIB,
table. It's just a mapping
but
of
it'll create FIB from RIB when it'll get the RIB from control plane.
So still we can log into data, some any device and see the routing table there.
Yes, you can see the routing table which is shared via the control plane. You can see the forwarding table. You can log into the device. You can log in from the management plane as well.
Okay,
Because
so
management
data
plane
planes
will provide the access.
So data plane will maintain both the tables.
Right. Data plane will be getting the RIB from the control plane. And whenever it has to do any update, in the routing table, it cannot do by itself. It has to go back to control plane. If there is a new.
Why again we are overloading it? Why at least just FIB to the data plane is enough? Okay, this is the this is a destination network. This is your port map. That is a forward table. That's enough for data plane. Right? Why again we are overloading with it?
Okay. So when we are sharing a route, that route is having layer 2 information with it.
Route is having layer 2 information.
No. FIB is what? Adding that information.
FIB is just if a router opens a packet, sees the destination network, the fib will have a mapping. This destination network is mapped with of which of the interface? What is the exit interface for that
Right,
destination network? That is a fib.
right. Exit interface and the
Just
next
mapping
hop,
of next hop with the exit interface.
next
That
hop.
mapping.
In case if it is Ethernet network, layer 2 address, that is MAC address. If it is not Ethernet address, it is any another WAN technology. Based on that, layer 2 virtual circuit will be added.
Okay, if it is a point-to-point, it's only just the destination to this one. If it is again a broadcast network, yeah, it will be having a different scenario. You have to
Right.
involve the maps. Yeah.
Anyhow, layer 2 will be there. If no, there will be a default protocols. Right?
Okay, but I'm not sure. I'm not aware of it exactly
Then
whether it will have
then
or
you
not.
need to go back to CCNA to see that.
Yeah,
The
because
packet
what
flow,
I'm
the packet flow.
understanding is, yeah, my understanding routers doesn't understand the layer 2. It will create only the FIP, or in Cisco it is without RIB also it will look on the CIF, and once the destination network is being understood by the forwarding plane, it will just map it to the exit interface and
Okay.
data is
Have you
exited
heard
from there.
about HDLC?
Heard it, but
No?
I just heard the HDLC, but
Okay,
I don't know how it works.
go back and revisit what HDLC does, and
Okay,
then we will discuss it tomorrow.
fine.
Fine. Go back and refer what exactly is the HDLC.
Mm.
And if it is Cisco proprietary, we configure HDLC. Otherwise, we do what? Triple P. If it is what? Point-to-point link, right? If it is not point-to-point broadcast, we talk about what? Frame relay.
Yeah.
Yes, all these are what? Layer 2 circuits. And otherwise, nowadays, the popular one is what? Ethernet,
The Ethernet is a
right?
point to multipoint.
It is both. You can configure point-to-point, you can configure broadcast network with Ethernet. Okay, no worries. You go back and refer to HDLC, what it does. Only one thing will make your point clear here. Okay,
Yeah, I'll come back to that.
all right. You can come back to me tomorrow, maybe 1-to-1 at end of
Yeah.
the session or before the session. Okay, fine.
Fine.
So we'll now come back over here. We'll say, okay, this may be what? Hardware or virtual, the dumb device. Now here we need the connectivity with the help of what? The protocol, because protocol has to carry the routes. APIs cannot carry the routes. APIs can integrate the things, APIs can carry the configuration, but APIs cannot carry the routes. So we need a routing protocol, and we are using OpenFlow as a routing protocol to have the connectivity. Right? Now, I'll come to that answer which was asked. I asked to wait for 5 minutes. So in case if it is a vendor specific device, I need to have that vendor specific protocol here. I need to have that vendor specific APIs here. If it is independent of vendor, I can use open APIs. I can use OpenFlow as an open protocol.
So OpenFlow is a protocol or it's a framework?
It is a open protocol which is defined by open community. So just write onto the internet OpenFlow. You'll be able to see.
I heard of that, but I thought it's a framework which has a lot of peripherals into it. I mean, different things like,
Yes, of course, it's a framework, but it is a protocol. It is also a protocol. The way IPsec we talk about. We say IPsec is a protocol. We even though say IPsec is a framework because it has what? A lot of other protocol inside it. Right? Because whenever we discuss about IPsec, we talk about IKE, we talk about AH, we talk about ESP, right? Similar way, when we are talking about OpenFlow is a protocol, and it is also having a framework, and it is not doing the things alone. It is taking care of what a lot of other things. So I'll not jump to the open community. I'll just
Understood,
let
understood.
you know that.
Can we summarize in a small, in a
Yes.
three
So
layer, like, you know,
we,
if OpenFlow is working on control plane, what would be the management plane? What kind of models will be using? Just an example.
okay, just an example. Let me jump to a whiteboard for that.
Thank you.
I hope you guys can see my whiteboard now, right? Yes. So we
Yes.
can see
Yes.
that here we have a central cloud, right? So we can say this is the central cloud. Or we can say a data center, cloud data center, where we have the virtual machines. So let's suppose this is the virtual machine and I'm allocating a functionality to it as an what? Management plane, right? Then I'm having the other virtual machine to whom I'm allocating the functionality of control plane. So when we are adding this functionality, what exactly we are doing?
So
When I say I'm adding the functionality, what does it mean?
So that means management plane will be help us to control the edge devices to configure
So
that.
when I say I'm adding the functionality, it means I'm adding a kind of software which will have built-in function
Okay.
to perform the task which I'm adding. Yes.
Yes.
So getting it, when I say we are adding the functionality, what does it mean?
So there will be a number of functionality which will be equipped with to control the entire
Right.
ecosystem, right?
Right. So I'm adding on one virtual machine management plane functionality, on another virtual machine control plane functionality. From where we have taken this functionality?
This has taken from
From
the
the
traditional
router
approach. Yeah,
iOS, from the traditional approach,
correct.
right? We have taken it from the traditional. So we have taken that complete software from the router, which was the iOS of the router. The lines, the codes were responsible for the management plane. Those are separated. The codes or the roles, those were the related to control plane. Those were separated, and those functions are, or those codes are hosted here in the form of software. Right?
Okay.
Now I'm having customer sites. So let's suppose here I'm having a customer site. Here I'm having another customer site. So here I'm having what? These devices. Those are data plane devices. Now these data plane devices, I say maybe virtual devices or maybe physical devices. So let's suppose this is the physical device, right? And this is the virtual device. Let me write virtual rather than VM. Right? Virtual. Now, when it is a physical device, there might be possibility it is a vendor specific, right? When I say it is a virtual, I can say that it is not a vendor specific. What I did, my own organization development team has done what? they have installed the Linux, and on the Linux, they have installed the data plane functionality. From the Linux OS, they have done what? They have customized the Linux OS in such a way that this machine, this OS, which is installed onto this virtual machine, will behave like as a data plane. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Got the example now?
Yeah, I
Now,
got
when
it.
we are talking about their connectivity, how the connectivity will be there? I need to connect this in this way. Now, when I am connecting this way, this is what? This is my physical network. Which is my traditional network. So that's wherein we say we are not leaving traditional network behind. We will be still using our traditional network.
Okay.
Now, on the top of this traditional network, we will be creating what? SDN network or SD-WAN network. Right? So they will be what? They will be tunnels. What kind of tunnels will be there?
Could be IPsec or GRM.
There'll be tunnels, which will be one tunnel from here to here towards management plane. Another tunnel will be here towards control plane. Now, what the management plane will do?
Will help us to control the end devices.
Right. It is providing the access as well as it will perform the configuration, and connectivity will be what via API within this tunnel. So over the physical network will have a tunnel, and the tunnel, within that tunnel API will work. Wherein here, what will work? Open flow protocol will work within this tunnel.
Mhm.
Right?
So, ma'am,
So within the same physical pipe, I'm having two tunnels available. Can you see two tunnels I'm having? The first tunnel is going towards management plane, another tunnel is going towards
Okay.
control plane. Now control plane has said that, okay, you can connect now X side with Y side. So here I'm having now, this is the X side and this is my Y side, right? Now, as per the control plane policies, which is there, it says that either you can connect with Y side or you cannot connect with Y side. So if it says, okay, you can connect with Y side, the Y side route will be shared with this device, right? And this device will say, oh, this is the next hop by which I'll be able to reach to Y side. So this information, I need to add it there in the fib. Right?
Right.
So that's wherein we say that this device has to have little intelligence, not the full intelligence.
Ma'am, quick question actually. May I
Yes.
please?
Yes, please.
So is there any way, we can make manual changes on these dumb devices? Like you said, they are a little bit intelligence on these devices. So like if we need to add one static route on that particular device, is this possible we can do manually or we have to do from a management plane?
You can do.
Okay. And it
You
will
can do
replicate
changes. It
and
will
it will,
allow to change.
okay, okay, thank you.
It will allow you to. Because anyhow, the basic configuration needs to be done by taking a console access, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So you will be able to.
And that changes also replicated on XYZ site as well, right? Or
Right.
okay.
It can be replicated on any site. So how exactly is the behavior? Let's take an example. You have added a static route here, right? So the information of this static route will be replicated to this control plane.
Okay.
And once the information is available with this device, what this device will do? This device will replicate that information here. So if we can say that not directly, but indirectly this information is coming over here,
Okay. Got it.
right? So it will come the information over here via this. So there will be no direct control connection between these two devices. Earlier we used to have router over here, right? And these two routers are doing what? They are sending the control information as well as data plane information. But now the connectivity which will be there between these two sites will be only able to send the traffic related to data plane only, not related to control plane. When I say control plane, it means what? The routing behavior, the changes in the routing table, routing updates, all those will be done via this. So any information related to control traffic that will go to this via OpenFlow. And OpenFlow will be responsible to pass that information over here.
And what if this control plane device down? So at that moment, these dumb devices on a read-only mode, or
No, they will still have data plane running. The
okay,
information, what information they have it, based on that they will be still able to send the data traffic.
okay, got you, ma'am.
Just only the thing is what? They will not be getting the new updates related to control. There might be possibility one network goes down over here, right? It has reported to this, but there is no connectivity between this site and this control plane. So that route will not be updated over here, and this device will keep on sending the data related to that route,
Okay,
right?
got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Got it? So still there will be a functionality. But when we look at the environment, it is a virtual machine hosted in the cloud, right? And as it is hosted on the cloud, what exactly is the meaning of cloud? There is an
Virtual
inbuilt
connectivity.
redundancy. There is an inbuilt redundancy. Even though if you do not have a backup, still the cloud will provide you backup.
Yep.
Yes?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
automatically, as soon as they will be crash onto this machine, automatically, as per the principle of VMware concepts, the vMotion is the functionality, a new virtual machine will be ready and everything will go over that virtual machine, and that virtual machine will come online within fraction of seconds, and we will not get to know there was a downtime as well.
Okay.
That's the benefit of virtualization.
So can I ask you one question? Like,
Yes, please.
So this is the new approach every cloud provider is also using for their VPC
Yes.
networking.
Yes, they are using, they will give you list of the things. Okay, this is, do you need this function? Do you need this function? Do you need this function? If you say yes, they will say, okay, altogether, this is the charge for you.
So let's say if we can say that simplify, this is the SDN approach they all are using in
Yes.
cloud networking. Okay.
So this is what the SDN now. I hope you understand, guys. What is SDN? So we have management plane, we have control plane, we have data plane, but all are what? Separated. We have centralized management plane, we have centralized control plane. When we talk about the connectivity is with the help of APIs as well as with OpenFlow protocol. And when we look at the connectivity between these two, it is also with API.
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 I have one question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, where we'll deploy this? We'll deploy in the Azure or AWS or GCP, or where we deploy this SDN?
See, as far as if you are talking about SDN, SDN is open.
Okay.
All the clouds are supporting it. You can create your own cloud and you can host it,
Okay.
right?
You can.
But as far as if we are talking about vendor specific solution of SD-WAN, you need to check the vendor that vendor supports what are the cloud infrastructure. So when we are talking about Cisco SD-WAN Viptela solution, it is supporting Azure, it is supporting AWS, it is supporting Google.
So,
All three are supported by it.
I wanted to add one more question to this. So since
Yes.
we have a multiple CSPs, cloud service providers,
Right.
and if they are using a separate frameworks, just like OpenFlow, in order to do their routing functionalities, it would be a challenge, right? In order to establish the network pairing between all things.
See,
Are all these CSPs are using open standard just like OpenFlow?
you need to understand two things.
Okay.
We are using CSP infrastructure for the VM.
Okay.
But what functionality which is hosted, that functionality is same, be it any CSP.
Got it.
Their
So,
ways of accessing the VM is different. Their interface is different. I'll come to that. You will be able to understand because there is a part NFV, right? So when I'll explain you NFV, I'll explain you what is cloud infrastructure. You'll be able to get to know what is the difference between Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud.
thank you.
Until then, we will hold this, right?
Sure.
So when you'll be able to understand, there will be no question like this you will ask. Because we are going to install the same functionality inside the VM, how the VM is created, be it is created with AWS, be it is created with VMware solution, be it is created with Microsoft solution, we don't care about it. Okay, I need Windows 10. Be it is hosted in Azure cloud, be it is hosted in their AWS cloud, be it is hosted in their Google cloud. I need Windows 10.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Will there be any difference with the Windows 10?
Nothing makes difference.
No. The similar way, I need control plane functionality. Be it is hosted in any of the CSP platform. So when we talk about SD-WAN solution of Viptela, it is multi-tenant solution and it is supporting multi-vendor.
And
So
what
these
about
these all are the features. I'll talk about those features there in the SD-WAN. Yes, please.
if you talk about the Meraki, Cisco Meraki, so is it implement over here in the cloud platform?
See, let me know. Meraki is a separate solution, right?
Okay.
What is Meraki? Meraki is a dashboard, right? It's a kind of central dashboard which is allocated only in the Meraki server or in the Meraki cloud only. So it's a proprietary solution of the Meraki, and Meraki is not collaborating with other vendors.
Okay.
Because if they collaborate with other vendors, they'll not be able to earn their bread in the market. Okay, so that's a separate solution. So I'll talk about those solutions. Once I'll be able to cover all these 4 prerequisites, I'll let you know what is SDN solution in the LAN. What is the SDN solution in the WAN? Right? So right now, I'll come back onto my screen sharing. Back to my slide.
Ravinder, I
Right,
have a
so
question.
yes, please.
So we are using any cloud we will using any cloud platform for deploying these controller. So do we have the knowledge of any cloud solution like Azure, VMware, and how the network will work on the cloud platform?
See, the knowledge which you need it, I will provide you that as a prerequisite. But beyond that, if you need it, you need to do specific courses. That's where in today's market is what? When they are looking at your resume, they will ask you, do you know virtualization? Do you know SDN? Do you know SD-WAN? That's the reason they are asking everything from you. Right? So what knowledge you needed, the basic knowledge you needed, I'll provide you before I jump to the SD-WAN. The
Okay.
way I'm giving you the SDN knowledge. Where if I need to deliver a session on SDN, it will take 5 days. And entire 5 days, it means what? The 40 hours. But I'm giving you this everything in 1 hour. It means what? There is a less, only the needed knowledge I'm providing you. Okay?
Okay.
So that's wherein I'll not move ahead around this. So what exactly it is now, if we look at it, what? So we understood what is traditional network and how are we migrating it towards SDN approach, right? So we can see now we have seen all 3 layers. We have seen their connectivity. We have seen what kind of infrastructure is there, and still they are holding the same functionality. Application layer is still having what? The same function which was there in the management plane. Control plane is still holding the same function which was inside the control plane of a router, and data plane is also still holding the same function, but now they are separate. So application layer is virtual, control layer is always virtual, wherein the data plane could be a physical device or could be a virtual device. Are we okay? So I hope all of you will remember this thing, right? Because
Yes,
I'm going to recall all this
Yes.
when I'll be explaining you SD-WAN solution.
Hello,
Yes,
I
please.
have the question.
Yes, please.
I just said that we are migrating our traditional network into the SDN because SDN has a lots of advantage. Okay, it's provided centralization to data with a CAP's router. Okay, but I just
Right.
want to know that what are the disadvantages of the SDN network?
What are the disadvantage?
That's a good
Good.
question. We would like to know that also.
So when we look at the disadvantages, the disadvantage is what? Think about distributed network and central network. What exactly is the disadvantage of central network that the same disadvantage is here for the software defined network? I hope you understand what is distributed network, what is central network,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? So whatever is the disadvantage with the central network is there, that the same disadvantage we have it with the SDN. But if we do not migrate to the central, what will be there? The organization will remain what? Left behind. It will not be competent in the market. It will not be able to sell their product in the market. It will not be able to update their applications,
Okay.
right?
Mhm. Okay.
So let me cover all the prerequisites, then automatically you'll be able to see there are benefits. There are no limitations. Think about today. When we talk about today's market, every year you get what? A new version of your phone available from almost all the vendors. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Be it is Android based, be it is iOS based, right?
Right.
So why they are bringing new? They
The
are
periods
adding
are,
new functionality to hardware.
yes.
They are adding new functionality to iOS
Hmm.
so that whatever the applications are available on App Store, they can get their resources from the hardware and software platform of the phone.
Okay.
So the application developers, they are creating their application in such a way that those applications are demanding high resources. Right? We
Right,
say,
right.
oh, my phone is running what out of memory. It is slow. Let me buy a new one. Because you also need the support of latest application in the market, right?
Right, right.
That's what the everything is behind that, right? And the entire network of phones, internet network of phones, everything will work onto this network only, on this WAN network only. So we need to upgrade this WAN network as well.
Okay, got it.
I would rather say that like this is the question. Usually in traditional network, used to have a control up to the network layer, and thereafter it is with SDN and SD-WAN, we have a control up to 7 layers. And we have a that's correct or like
Yes, that's correct. You can say that. But as soon as it is there in the market, we need to learn it. We are not unlearning what we have it. We are just doing what? We are enhancing our information, right? So we need to know what is traditional network. It does not mean that somebody is coming and he is only learning SDN and SD-WAN and he'll be able to successful. He has to start his career from the traditional only, because traditional network is the part of our current network. I showed you that. When we have cloud, when we have sites, anyhow, we need to connect physical network, right? So still my physical network will be there. Is it okay, guys?
Yes.
So I can say that now we can summarize it here itself, the session. I can say that now you guys are aware what is our traditional network and what is our software defined network, which we should know as per SD-WAN, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yes. So let me
Yes, yes.
summarize the session here itself and we'll continue with the session tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be talking about what? Rest of the two things, which is what?
Okay, ma'am.
NFV,
Zero trust.
zero trust, and little bit about cloud infrastructure also, as you guys are having very curiosity about clouds.
So what shall we call you? Like, your name is,
Arvinder, Arvi, ARWI, Arvi.
I think Arvi is much better.
You can call me Arvi,
Correct. Okay. So
right?
Arvi, yeah. So we got to know the understanding of SDN, and we look forward to the tomorrow session. Like,
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So guys, please be there for tomorrow's session and we'll continue from here tomorrow with three more new topics. What are those three more new topics? Once again, I'm repeating it in case if you would like to read it before that, you can read it and come back. We'll talk about little bit about zero trust. We'll talk about little bit about the NFV, network function virtualization, and we'll talk about little bit about cloud infrastructure.
And before we are going to the tomorrow, so do you want us to have a refer some of the open standards which we'll be discussing further? Like, as you say that, right, open, there was one, this one you were
Open
saying, that
flow,
open
right?
flow, yeah, yeah.
I don't want you to refer anything. I want only to focus here what I'm teaching. But in case still if you want to refer, like everybody is having a different way of learning, right? So few people they think, okay, I've learned during the class and I can repeat that. But few people they are having the habit of doing a research from the internet and then come back. In
The
case if
thing
you have
is,
an habit of that, you can do that and come back.
the thing is why I asked that, nowadays it's not a on-prem network anymore, right? It is a hybrid
Yes,
network.
it's a hybrid network, right?
So, and as you mentioned before that all the companies are asking about virtualization, as well our software-defined network knowledge, as well as etc. containerization, all these things.
I lost you.
Yeah, sorry. So, considering this all perspective, we have to get at least a basic of 360-degree knowledge, right? So, if you are telling some example like open flow, we'll try to understand. We'll take a reference node and we'll try to understand what are those modules and where we'll be using that, just to take a reference, and we'll have
See,
a
I'll give you these notes. The
yeah.
slides, I'll share it with you, right? And the recorded session will also be available to you. Whenever you would like to refer it, you can refer it. I will not advise you to do a research and come back. I will say that it's up to you in case if you would like to do it. It's up to you.
Where it's available, ma'am? Slides and
It's
notes.
available on internet. These slides will be uploaded on your portal where you will be getting the session recording at the same place. I will upload the slides.
And
But I'll
Okay,
be
thank you.
uploading tomorrow evening.
And we
this
can download.
session, yeah, that
You
is
will
correct.
not
And
be able to
tomorrow,
download. You will be able to go through with them.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
we will only have this video access until our limited time.
That you can check with the networking guys, right?
Okay.
Fine. Yes, tomorrow at the same time at 11 a.m. IST.
yeah, so tomorrow we'll join from the same link, or we have to?
So there will be a different link, right? So
Okay.
the tomorrow the
Same
link
link.
will be only provided to those candidates, those they have enrolled for the program,
Sure. Thank you.
right? So you can check with networking guys that you would like to enroll and you would like to continue with the session, and they will be giving you the link. Okay. Thank you till then, and hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much.